Welcome to Coffee with Democrats, a sensible platform for progressive conversations. Coffee with Democrats is a grassroots movement dedicated to hearing from Democrats, candidates, legislators, and friends from all political backgrounds who want great conversations. Coffee with Democrats is committed to increase Democrat voter registration and Democrat voter turnout by making voting more exciting and meaningful. And now here's your host of Coffee with Democrats, Kevin Dawson.
Hey, good morning. It is Monday, October 14th, and we have a special guest with us. I've been having a conversation with him offline for a few minutes. First time I've met Tom Sutherlin. Great guy. He is running for House District 64 down in the Lawton area. So, folks, please go out right now and start sharing on all your social media. Start telling everybody that you know we've got a friend in Lawton that we need to help out. So again, share this feed with as many folks as you can to make sure we get as many people interested in this campaign, because Tom is a great person, and I can't wait to hear more about him. So welcome, Tom. How are you doing? And welcome
doing
to Coffee
great.
Break. Yeah, welcome to Coffee Break on Coffee with Democrats. We're really excited to have you.
Well, Kevin, thank you for the invitation and the opportunity, and happy Indigenous Peoples Day today.
Well, isn't that wonderful that we can actually, in the state of Oklahoma, for crying out loud, we need to accept that the Indigenous Peoples Day is a big part of our state. So thank you for doing that. So we're going to talk a little bit about your campaign and how things are going. But first of all, isn't this an exciting time to be talking about being a Democrat in the state of Oklahoma?
Yes, it is. And there's a couple of things that just happened automatically. The printed ballot that came out that's got my name on it for the first time lines up just perfectly with Kamala Harris's name. I couldn't ask for a better position on the ballot.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? And I'll tell you what, that I'm going to call her a young lady. She's just a couple of years younger than me, but that young lady has inspired so much hope and so much excitement. I went to the to the convention in Chicago as a delegate for the state of Oklahoma. And I just walked out of that campaign, that convention up there with so much excitement, so much energy. I mean, it's just boiling over. And I know it had to boil over clear back here in Oklahoma with everybody that I talked to.
Yes. It has, and ad on me and linked me up. I'm real proud. He's got a mailer out with my picture and Kamala's picture together, and he said, and he donated to Kamala's campaign, and he's right. I did. I'm really proud. I couldn't ask for a better ad on his part.
Right. And I'll continue to donate to her campaign as well.
That's right.
It's a great honor, because you compare her with the criminal, there's no comparison. There's none whatsoever. So we need to talk about your campaign, and I want to give you an opportunity to again, let's find out what's going on in your part of the prairie.
Well, good. And I'd like to initially speak about one other campaign. Allison Offield is running in House District 62. And we've lit up Comanche County right now. A lot of people are out the past few days as I've knocked on doors. They've been coming to the door and say, "Got your mailers? We know what you're doing." And some of them have said, "We've already voted for you. You don't even need to be wasting your time here." So that's pretty powerful stuff.
It is. We've reached out to the Offield camp, and hopefully we'll hear back from them today or tomorrow, because I'd really like to get her on. She looks like she's a ball of fire.
She is. She's crackerjack, is the way we used to say it. She is. And I'm proud to be running with her. I've known Allison for quite a while. Well, let me tell you about my campaign a little bit and how we got into this. I was sitting around drinking coffee, just like this morning, had my mug in my hand, and we were on the last day you could file, and the man I decided to run against wasn't being challenged, and Cindy Munson had been down the night before. Cindy, the House Democratic leader, working with some people thinking they were going to file, and they didn't. And I lost my temper and decided retirement wasn't going to be what I was going to do right now, and went down with my wife, and we filed for this, and we're off to the races. And I want to thank the Oklahoma House Democratic Campaign Committee, because they are backing me, and I have a wonderful, powerful team that's giving me guidance and information and support in this process. I would like for my fellow Democrats to be encouraged that we're out fighting right now for democracy, and that's important. I'll give you just a brief synopsis. You can see my website, and there's a little more information out there. I've retired from Cameron University. I was associate professor there. Worked in the Department of Technology and taught engineering design courses and computer science and calculus and a few things here and there. Thoroughly enjoyed my 39 years at Cameron. I wound up in the administration, or in the college business, we refer to it as the dark side. And after I retired, I started doing free tutoring at Lincoln Elementary here in Lawton. It's a school. It's not one of the homogeneously configured schools. It has every social challenge you could have. And I tutored with Mrs. Poe's class, 4th and 5th graders in science. And then when it became Constitution Week, we practiced the preamble and things with the kids. So I've been in the classroom recently. I've been with the kids and with the teachers, and I know how hard they're working and how hard they're trying. So that's motivation for me. I know what's going on, and I want to make Oklahoma education better. It's going to be real popular for our incumbents to claim that they gave the biggest amount of money ever to Oklahoma public education. And they're true in the dollar amount, but an old goat like me has been around long enough to know that back in 2000, we almost fully funded education in Oklahoma.
Right.
If you take that budget, which got carved up later, and you add inflation, we're not adding in improved technology or anything else. They came up with a $3.2 billion budget for public education this year. In 2000, that was $1.98 billion. But if you just apply inflation to it, they should have given us $3.6 billion just to get us back to the year 2000 funding. Didn't do that. They're also talking about teacher pay raises. Thank you for giving the teachers a pay raise, but that's not the issue. The issue is we don't have structural pay raises and structural professional development anymore. It's come see, come saw. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Mm-hmm. And Barry Fallon, thank you very much, destroyed the tax structure that we built after House Bill 1072 when Henry Bellman was governor, and tied us back to oil money. So education's tied back to the swings of the up and down flow of oil money. And then we've saddled the teachers with one exam after another, as if that's going to make us better. I'm going to borrow from my college philosophy professor. In Oklahoma, sometimes our legislators think that our children are canned hams, and we want to just put a stamp on them and shove them out the door. That's not the case. They have different learning styles. They have different methods that they need help with. And our professional educators who've been through our professional education courses know how to do that. I'm sorry, there are a lot of people who are good, who got special certification, but you don't know the first thing about assessment. You don't know anything about and come up with an evaluation that really represents that child's learning. One of my mottos right now is we need to get rid of a bunch of exams, $17.5 million worth, and we need to let the teachers teach. Another thing that the incumbent to my district did was he voted for the voucher system. So now we're giving hundreds of millions of dollars away. And down here in Lawton, we don't have private schools. So we're helping with our tax money to fund private schools in Tulsa and Oklahoma City. When I started knocking on the doors in April, I had kind of my standard spiel, and the people got me straight real fast. Look, stop giving our money away, stop wasting our kids' times, and let's get the teachers what they need to get the job done. And that's part of what I want to do, is work on that. Of course, we got enough issues in our society that we couldn't possibly get to all of them in the few minutes we want to spend this morning. But another important part, and Kevin mentioned this to begin with, we need to have more respect for the tribal nations. All of the incumbents in Comanche County voted to give money to Governor Stitt this year so he could continue his litigation against the tribes. That's not acceptable to me. I won't vote for that. I won't speak for that. I'll speak against it because I believe strongly we need to honor our agreements and we need to stop funding Stitt's private war against tribal nations. I think we need to be respecting their sovereignty. And specifically, I want to see us working in tandem with our different agencies to address the issues of missing and murdered Indigenous people. I hope everybody stays aware of that, but it's something that we can't just stand here and let continue to go and act like it's all right. I want to lift up a couple of good things in Lawton. We had, starts off sounding bad, our homeless shelter was about to be closed down, and one of the local heroes, Brenda Ragland, stepped up and 2 months ago motivated a group of people and rebuilt, recleaned, reset, restocked, did everything they need to get that homeless shelter open. And a lot of people don't understand. There are different folks needing those shelters, and they're not all the worst case scenarios. Some of them are just in a tough spot in life. But we're going to have to put together some task forces and address the issues that keep some of our homeless people out there. Substance abuse and mental health issues are certainly tangled up in that. The other thing is we like to talk about economic development. I have an engineering design background. That's what I was educated in. Worked for people like Aero Commander, North American Aviation, Texas Instruments, one of my favorite places. Nobody's going to come to Oklahoma while we're ranked 49th out of 50. They're not going to come here when in public education we're ranked 49th out of 50. They're not going to come here when women have trouble getting access to health care, when women in our remote, if I can get my mouth to work this morning, our remote rural communities do not have easy access to screening. I want to support women. I fully believe that they have every right to be in control of their lives. And I'm sick and tired of people like my opponent who wrote specific legislation to punish people and intensify the punishment because they made choices he didn't agree with. It's not any of his business. And I don't believe it's any government business. They've made it so difficult. Some women in our community are having problems getting OBGYNs to agree to do DNCs that are necessary. I think we need to talk about that more. Also, some of the pharmacists are reluctant to fill the prescriptions they need to help stop hemorrhaging, to help them through difficult times. My opponent's just totally insensitive to any of this. He's myopic in his vision of the world. So economic development is not going to happen when we're mistreating the women in our society. Nobody wants to relocate to a place that is a desert. There's one other group that's extremely important to me, and they can't vote for me. They won't be able to vote for me this time around because they're registered in other states, and that's the military families who live in the important part of Fort Sill's mission. They get their medical services from us. We need to make sure, and the state can help out with this, that we have the qualified specialists that all of us need, but in particular our military families. Our veterans need to be cared for. Now, there's a little conflict of interest. I'm a veteran, and I believe that my brothers and sisters need to have the access to what they need. And to make sure you know how old I am, I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I'm proud of the people I served with. So thank you for your time today.
Well, I'll tell you what, thank you for your service and your continuing service. The education background that you have brought to this district and for your campaign is just immense. And that's something that we can't take for granted. Is we've got so many great candidates like yourself who are doing everything they can to help out. So looks like you might be frozen there. I'm not sure what might be.
I'm not sure. I stopped moving.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. But anyhow, it got me worried there for a second because I was like, I want to talk about several things that you brought up. Number one, the indigenous people. Something that I'm proud to support as a motorcycle rider is a medicine wheel. It's a medicine wheel ride that they do annually to help people in the Dakotas. And that's where we start, or where we end all of those rides for that medicine wheel. It's a wheel of 4 directions, but the whole idea is, and I get real emotional about this because Sarah Gray, who is a candidate for county commission up in Tulsa, she's a great friend of mine. She's indigenous, and she went to a Stitt campaign function a year ago, and he was actually up there going to campaign very hard about doing away with some of the things to support the indigenous people. And she had painted on her face the red hand and over the mouth. And it just, and when I saw the pictures of her and when she talked about her activities going up there and challenging him one-on-one by not saying a word, did not say a single word to Stitt. She just got up, stood up in front of him and turned her back to him and faced the crowd with that red hand.
Right.
And it's just so emotional to see how many people are put under the thumb of, this demagoguery that is permeated ever since the beginning of Manifest Destiny. And we've got to eliminate that. I mean, you are so true in what you said, and it brings back so much. And then, but it goes hand in hand with what these same people believe in, taking women's rights away from them and eliminating women from being able to have access to health care, necessary health care. I mean, like if a woman's pregnancy goes south and goes bad, and that person needs emergency medical help, why do we have a legislator in the operating room with that person? That's not necessary. We need to keep the legislator out of the emergency room and let the doctors take care of that. That's what they're trained for. So, I mean, it's unfortunately sometimes a baby's lost. I understand there's some real emotion with that, but I can't say that I want to see one or the other, but my heart is always with the woman. And that's where I'm staying with that. It's such an emotional thing, but man, I'm so proud of you. I really am. And it's hard to have this discussion about your campaign without getting really emotional, because it is an emotional time in America, and we've got to do everything we can to do what is the basics that we're asked to do, and that is, treat our brother and sister as we want to be treated, and we're not being treated that way. There's a whole group of people, including your opponent, who want to dehumanize people in America. And we're going to stop that. We are going to stop that. We are not going to allow that to continue. So, man, it's great to know you. It's just an honor and privilege for me to have this conversation with you today.
Well, through the heat of the August time, I was offered a lot of cold water by people and I've talked to people across all party affiliations. I haven't kept it just one way, and been over 3,300 doors I knocked on. And I've had soup on the porch. I've had coffee on the porch. I've had a lot of people. I told my wife I had no idea that I was going to get hugged this much, but I've been hugged a lot. Yeah. And I want to speak to the 35 volunteers we have. We started with 28, and now we have 35. And they drive us, they get us where we need to be, they support us, they encourage us. And I think that the opposition's not really aware of how many people are working on this campaign. So we have a great staff up in Oklahoma City. We have a great support from our volunteers, and that's powerful medicine.
Absolutely. Well, it is so great to have you on Coffee Break on Coffee with Democrats. You're a wonderful champion. And folks, I'm just going to say this one more time. Please do everything you can to support Tom Sutherlin in his campaign for House District 64. I'm putting it up on the banner right now. That's his. You just go to his website and then select donate. Let's help him out. Let's help him out with his campaign. He never asked for this money, but let's do this because he can't do this on his own. Everything he does costs money, and he's going in debt. We got to do everything we can, folks. So let's go to our Act Blues and let's buy a cup of coffee for him. $5, $10, whatever it is for a cup of coffee. Let's make that contribution to him in kind, so that he can actually use that money and further his campaign in the next 20 days. Tom, great to talk to you. And again, let's do this again sometime.
Okay, Kevin, thank you so much. Next time we'll do it. We'll be on the other side of this election.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to wish you the best of luck. And again, you've got our endorsement. We're going to do everything we can to help. So everyone, until tomorrow, everybody, please be safe.
Thank you.